Let me begin with a question. How often do you feel weak in the face of life's challenges? How many times have you looked at your circumstances and thought, I can't handle this, I'm not strong enough? We all face moments where our strength seems to fade, where the weight of the world feels unbearable, and where doubt begins to creep in. But what if I told you that in those very moments, you are on the brink of discovering something greater than your own strength? Something far more powerful, far more reliable. What if I told you that God's wisdom is not just a concept, but the key to finding the strength you need in times of weakness? You see, when you are facing hardships, you are not alone. You are not left to navigate the storm with nothing but your own resources. There is an endless source of wisdom, guidance, and strength that is available to you at all times. This is not just a comforting thought. It is a divine truth that is woven into the fabric of life. As it is written, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him and I am helped." Psalm 28 verse 7. In the midst of your battles, you have a shield, God's wisdom, that protects you. You have a strength that is not dependent on your own abilities but on the infinite wisdom of God. Consider this. When you are going through a trial, you may feel like a ship tossed by waves. You might feel out of control, as though the storm is too powerful. But think of the wise sailor who has navigated countless storms before. He knows that no matter how fierce the winds may blow, the key to surviving the storm lies in understanding the currents, in trusting the compass that guides him. Similarly, God's wisdom is your compass in the storm. When you turn to him for guidance, you find that the storm may not be taken away immediately, but you will have the strength and clarity to sail through it. And just as the wise sailor learns from each storm, you will learn from each trial, growing stronger and more resilient with every challenge you face. Now, let me tell you something else that you must grasp. God's wisdom is not just about enduring the difficult times, it is about thriving through them. So many times people look at life's difficulties as a curse, but what if I told you they were opportunities? Opportunities to tap into a strength that is not of this world. Do you remember the story of Joseph in the Bible? Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. From an outsider's perspective, his life was a series of misfortunes, a constant descent into deeper and deeper suffering. But in the midst of all that, Joseph chose to trust in God's wisdom. He did not allow his circumstances to dictate his faith. He did not let bitterness take root in his heart. Instead, he relied on God's wisdom to navigate each moment. And as a result, Joseph found favor in the eyes of Pharaoh, and from the pit, he rose to a position of power and influence. Genesis 41. This is the strength we are talking about. The strength that comes not from fighting your battles with your own hands, but from embracing divine wisdom and understanding that God is with you in every moment, guiding your steps, helping you rise higher than you ever thought possible. You see, wisdom is not just about knowing the right answers, it's about knowing the right questions. It's about asking God for the strength to endure, the grace to forgive, and the peace to navigate the chaos. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves exhausted, mentally, emotionally, and physically. We live in a world that demands so much from us. The pressures to perform, to succeed, to be everything for everyone, can overwhelm even the strongest among us. But this is where God's wisdom becomes indispensable. The moment you acknowledge that you cannot do it all on your own is the moment you open the door to receiving the strength that God promises. Just as Jesus said, "Without me you can do nothing," John 15 verse 5, you must realize that your own strength is limited. It is only when you surrender and seek God's wisdom that you are truly empowered. Let me illustrate this with an analogy. Imagine that you are a car driving on a long journey. You can drive for a while on your own, but eventually the fuel will run out. Now you have two options. You can continue driving, trying to push yourself further with an empty tank, or you can stop, find a source of fuel, and refill. The wisdom of God is your fuel. It's what keeps you going when you feel like giving up. It's what refills your energy when you think you have nothing left to give. So many people try to live on empty, relying solely on their own abilities, only to find themselves running out of steam. But when you turn to God, you are refueled and your strength is renewed. And here's something to remember. God's wisdom doesn't just come when you ask. It's always available to you. Every moment of every day you have access to His strength. But like a well of water, it is up to you to draw from it. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach. James 1 verse 5. The key here is asking, seeking, and trusting that God's wisdom will provide the direction you need. The more you ask, the more you will be filled. The more you seek, the more you will find. And with each step, you will grow stronger, not because of your own power, but because of the divine wisdom that you allow to guide you. Let me remind you too of the story of David. When David faced Goliath, he was a young shepherd boy, no match for the giant warrior who stood before him. But David wasn't concerned with his own strength. He wasn't focused on his size or his lack of experience. He understood that victory did not depend on his own abilities, it depended on God's wisdom. When he faced Goliath, David said, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." 1 Samuel 17 verse 45. David trusted in God's wisdom and strength, and because of that, he defeated the giant. Now, think about the challenges you face in your own life. They may not be as dramatic as David and Goliath, but they are giants in their own way. Whether it's overcoming a personal struggle, making an important decision, or navigating the complexities of life, you too can find strength in God's wisdom. The same wisdom that guided David, the same wisdom that upheld Job in his suffering, is available to you. As you go about your daily life, remember that God's wisdom isn't just a theoretical concept. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's transformative. It's not just for the big life-altering moments. It's for the small, everyday decisions. When you face a choice, ask yourself, what would God's wisdom guide me to do here? Whether it's in your relationships, your work, or your personal life, God's wisdom is the compass that can lead you to the right path. Now, remember this. When you feel weak, when you feel like the world is too much to bear, that is the moment to turn to God. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. Your weakness is not a limitation. It is an opportunity for God's strength to shine through. Just like the sun shines brightest when the clouds are the darkest, God's power is made perfect in your moments of weakness. Embrace that truth and you will find a strength that is unshakable. I challenge you today to make a decision. Will you rely on your own strength, or will you turn to God for wisdom? Will you face life's challenges with your own limited resources, or will you draw from the infinite wisdom that is available to you? The choice is yours, but know this. When you embrace God's wisdom, you will find the strength to face anything that comes your way. The storms may rage, but you will stand firm, rooted in the wisdom of the Almighty. As you seek His wisdom, may you be filled with the strength that only He can provide, and may you walk through life not in your own power, but in the limitless, unshakable power of God.